What if I told you cows don't need acres of land? Mini cows bring all the charm in half the size, and families everywhere are falling in love. These aren't barnyard giants. They're cuddly, colorful, and shockingly small.
What is the age? 1 year plus?
From fluffy little charmers you'll never want to stop hugging to ancient mini breeds that look unreal, this lineup will leave you stunned. By the end, you'll never look at cows the same way again. Number 20. Mini Jersey. If you dream of a pet cow that also fills your fridge, the Mini Jersey is the one. These little dairy stars are capped at no taller than 44 inches for cows and 46 for bulls by age 3, measured at the hip bone. Milk is their superpower. A good Mini Jersey produces about 1.5 to 3 gallons per day, enough for a family's daily use without drowning you in surplus. And the quality? Jerseys are famous for rich cream, with butterfat around 5%. That's perfect for churning butter, making ice cream, or trying your hand at cheese. Temperament is another win. Mini Jerseys are people-oriented, easy to halter train, and gentle enough for families. They're also lighter on fences and easier to manage than full-size dairy cows, making them ideal pet cattle for smaller properties. They were bred down from standard Jerseys, keeping the dairy traits and sweet personality, just in a shorter package. Care stays simple: quality pasture or hay, fresh water, free choice minerals, fly control, and vaccines. Number 19. Panda cow. Panda cows look like something out of a children's book. Broad white belt around the middle, a bright white face, and big black eye patches. That design didn't just happen. Richard Gradwell of Happy Mountain Miniature Cattle Farm in Washington bred for it deliberately, trademarked the pattern, and registered them through his own miniature cattle registry. Early reports counted only about 24 worldwide, and years later, perfectly marked calves were still considered rare. They grow into mid-size minis, usually standing around 44 inches tall at the hip by age 3. That puts them right in the standard 42 to 48-inch mid-size category. People don't raise panda minis for beef. They're kept as pets, show animals, or status symbols, and their price tag reflects it. When the look first caught headlines, some calves sold for as much as $30,000. But here's the reality check. Pandas aren't recognized by mainstream beef breed associations. They're considered a designer miniature type. Number 18. Mini Belted Galloway. If you've ever wanted a cow that looks like an Oreo cookie, the Mini Belted Galloway delivers. Known for their signature white belt wrapped around a dark coat, these minis are standard belted Galloways bred down in size. They keep the look, the easy care reputation, and the mellow attitude, just in a frame that actually works for small farms. Because they're naturally hornless, they're also safer and easier as a pet around families. At 3 years old, full minis measure between 36 and 42 inches at the hip, while mid-size minis fall between 42 and 48. Always ask for age and verified height, since young standards can be mistaken for minis. What makes Belties special is their coat. They carry a soft underlayer topped with a shaggy outer coat that keeps them warm in winter and sheds off rain, which lowers winter feed needs. In summer, they naturally shed down for comfort. Colors include black, dun, or red with that famous white stripe. Calm temperaments and easy keeping make them perfect backyard pet cattle. Give them grass or hay, minerals, water, and wide gates for that chunky midsection, and you'll have a pasture buddy that doubles as a living lawnmower. Number 17. Punganur. If you're after a truly tiny pasture pet that's still a real cow, the Punganur is perfect. This dwarf Zebu breed comes from Chittoor district in Andhra Pradesh, southern India, and ranks among the smallest cattle on record. Full-grown bulls stand around 42 inches at the shoulder and weigh about 530 pounds. Cows are even smaller, about 38 inches tall and 375 pounds. Coats can be white, gray, red, or brown, and their horns are short and crescent-shaped, giving them a cute but safe look. Punganurs weren't bred for heavy work or industrial dairy. They're a native, low-input breed designed for small farms, providing just enough milk and light draft power. Typical output is about 2 liters per day, a little over half a gallon, with butterfat close to 5%. That's perfect for coffee, yogurt, or ghee without overflowing your fridge. Their small frame makes them light on pastures and easy to handle. But don't forget, they're still cattle. You'll need secure fencing, minerals, fresh water, and shade in hot months. Because true Punganur stock is tied to its home region, expect rarity and higher prices if you find one for sale. Number 16. Miniature Zebu. Miniature Zebu bring the exotic look of humped cattle, but in a pint-sized frame. They belong to the Bos indicus family and max out at 42 inches tall when measured behind the hump. Most adults stand around 36 to 38 inches. Cows usually weigh 300 to 500 pounds, while bulls land between 400 and 600. That signature hump and loose dewlap aren't just style. They help zebus regulate body heat and fend off parasites. This makes them perfect for hot, humid climates where other breeds struggle. Color ranges widely: light gray, white, reddish tones, or darker shades. Horns stay short, and when halter trained, they look tidy and striking. For pet owners, the wins are obvious. They're light feeders, easy to handle, and thrive in warm environments. But remember, they're still cattle. Proper fencing, minerals, and routine vet care are musts. Number 15. Minivaca. The Minivaca is Mexico's answer to the miniature cow craze, a dwarf line developed in the 1970s at the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico by breeding down Indo-Brazil Zebu. They kept the Zebu's trademark look: hump, loose skin, and floppy ears, but shrunk it into something that works on small acreage. Here's what buyers need to know. There isn't an officially published size standard for Minivaca. In practice, most are about the size of a registered miniature Zebu. That means adult cows often fall in the 300 to 500 pound range, bulls in the 400 to 600 range, with height capped around 42 inches when measured behind the hump. What makes them special is how tough they are in hot, humid states. Like other zebu, they're built to handle heat, resist parasites, and stay thrifty on simple pasture. Their smaller size makes them approachable for first-time owners or anyone wanting a manageable pasture pet that doesn't overwhelm the yard. Care is basic: grass or hay, clean water, minerals, and shelter during cold snaps. If a seller is using the Minivaca label, ask for paperwork tying it back to the Mexican line, so you know you're truly getting one of these heat-hardy little pet cows. Number 14. Mini Texas Longhorn. Miniature Texas Longhorns shrink down the legendary Western icon into a size that actually fits a smaller ranch or even a hobby farm. These aren't a separate breed, but standard Longhorns bred selectively for height. At 3 years old, females must measure 45 inches or less, bulls 48 or less, and steers 50 or less. The horns are still long and sweeping, and the splashy paint patterns remain just as striking. Because of their smaller size, many Longhorns are easier on fences and pastures, and far simpler for first-time owners to manage. Families often keep them as pet cattle, halter-trained for shows, or just as pasture companions. Breed associations even have miniature classes for fairs, giving kids the chance to show off a pet cow that looks every bit the Texan classic. If you're buying, don't skip the paperwork. Ask for registration and official height with age, since the Texas Longhorn Breeders Association of America has clear miniature standards. Care is the same as any bovine: good forage, clean water, minerals, and vaccines. Just remember, you'll need wide gates and roomy feeders so those famous horns don't get caught. Number 13. Achhami. Meet Nepal's pocket-sized cow, the Achhami, also called Naumude, which literally means 9 fists from hoof to hump. Found in the far western hill districts of Achham, Bajhang, Bajura, and Doti, these tiny zebu are built for steep terrain and low-input living. The numbers are almost unbelievable. Cows average about 35 inches tall and 240 pounds. Bulls are only a bit bigger, about 38 inches and 330 pounds. Coats range from black and brown to gray, white, and mixed patterns. Locals call them the smallest cattle in Nepal, and they're one of the tiniest recognized populations in the world. Milk yield is modest, but steady. Field surveys report between 1.5 and almost 3 liters a day, depending on feed and season. Just enough for a family's tea, yogurt, and cooking, not commercial production. They also mature later than high-powered dairy breeds, but in return, they're hardy, thrifty, and thrive on rough forage. For care, think simple: pasture or hay, clean water, free choice minerals, and routine vaccines. They're usually horned, so give extra space at gates and teach them calm leading with a halter. Their light frame means less trampling and fence pressure, making them surprisingly backyard friendly. Number 12. Dexter. Dexters are the go-to choice for anyone wanting a small farm pet that still acts like a real cow. They're compact but capable. Most cows mature between 34 and 46 inches at the hip, usually settling around 36 to 42. Bulls run a little bigger at 36 to 50 inches, with most landing between 38 and 44. Weight is friendly for pastures too, 7 to 900 pounds, so they won't wreck fencing or stomp land like heavier breeds. They're also dual purpose. On a simple setup, families can expect about 1 to 3 gallons of milk per day, rich in butterfat that makes excellent cream and cheese. Pair that with their ability to raise a sturdy beef calf, and you've got an all-in-one homestead cow. Their roots go back to early 19th century Ireland, where they were bred as small, efficient cattle for little fields and mixed farm life. Day to day, Dexters shine. They're calm, easy calvers, and thrive on grass. Give them good forage or hay, fresh water, minerals, fly control, and basic vaccines. Number 11. Dahomey. Meet the Dahomey, one of the tiniest true cattle on earth and the smallest African humpless shorthorn. Native to Benin in West Africa, these compact animals average only about 35 inches tall at the shoulder. Cows weigh around 400 pounds, bulls about 570. You'll also hear them called lagoon cattle in parts of Benin and nearby countries. Unlike many minis, they aren't bred down from larger stock. This is a naturally tiny taurine breed, and they don't carry a hump. Up close, one of their quirks stands out, a blue-tinted tongue and throat. Despite their size, they're tough. Dahomeys handle tropical heat, heavy rains, and even snowy winters in Europe. Their lightweight means less damage to pastures, which is why conservation grazing projects love them. Zoos report lifespans of up to 20 years, which is impressive for cattle this small. Farmers in Europe have kept them for decades because they're low input and thrive on simple grass diets. Their history traces back firmly to southern Benin, and demand has only grown as smallholders seek easier breeds. Coat colors are usually black and white, or gray, with short horns and a sturdy, compact build. For anyone wanting a pet-level cow, the appeal is obvious. They're calm, manageable, and behave like full-size cattle, only with a fraction of the feed bill and pasture impact. Good fencing, clean water, minerals, and shade still apply, but the daily care is far easier than with standard breeds. Number 10. American Aberdeen. American Aberdeens are the definition of a small, manageable pasture pet that still looks like a classic beef cow. They came out of Australia's Lowline Angus project, where researchers in New South Wales selected Angus cattle for smaller, efficient frames. The result? A compact, stabilized line that spread worldwide. Mature cows usually stand about 42 to 46 inches at the hip and weigh 900 to 1,100 pounds. Bulls come in a little bigger, 45 to 48 inches, and around 13 to 1,600 pounds. Calves are tiny at birth, often weighing 30 to 45 pounds, which means stress-free calving with very little human help. They're naturally hornless, almost always black, and easy on fences compared to full-size beef cattle. For feeding, plan on roughly 3% of their body weight in forage each day, so much less hay than standard breeds, with lighter pressure on pastures. Their temperament is another big win. Aberdeens are known for being calm and easy to work with, especially once halter trained, which is exactly what you want in a family pet cow. Number 9. Miniature Hereford. Miniature Herefords shrink the iconic red and white beef cow into a smaller, friendlier package. For families wanting a gentle, recognizable pet cow, they're one of the top choices. Mature size caps at 45 inches for cows and 48 inches for bulls and steers, measured at the hip at 3 years old. On the ground, most minis stand near 42 inches and weigh around 1,000 pounds, about a third smaller than full-size Herefords. That makes them easier on fences, pastures, and beginner owners. You'll find them horned or polled, but either way, their calm, steady nature makes them a favorite for families. Kids can lead them without the risk of wrestling a giant high-strung cow. Care is simple. Quality grass or hay, clean water, minerals, shade, fly control, and routine vaccines. Number 8. High Park. High Parks are the Instagram-ready version of mini cattle, fluffy Highland coats paired with the sharp white and black or red markings of white park types. Think long hair, big horns, and black rings around the eyes, ears, nose, and hooves. It's a composite breed, designed to keep the Highlands' shaggy double coat, but add those flashy panda-like markings. That combo has made High Parks a favorite on hobby farms and small acreages, especially for families who want a calm, photogenic pet cow. Size is the real selling point. Programs classify micro High Parks under 36 inches tall and mini between 36 and 42 inches, measured near the tailhead, once the animal is at least 3 years old. That way, you know it's not just a young standard being sold as a mini. Weight often falls in the 5 to 700 pound range. Light enough for easy handling, but still very much real cattle. Their Highland-style coat is a true double layer, thick and plush for winter, then shedding down for summer. If you're in a hot state, give them shade, clean water, and fly control so the hair stays healthy. When shopping, look for verified height and age, health testing, and good temperament. Number 7. Holstein. Love that classic black and white dairy cow look, but want something you can actually manage as a family pet. That's where mini Holsteins come in. These are Holstein-type dairy cattle bred to fit miniature size classes. At 3 years old and up, a full mini stands about 36 to 42 inches tall at the hip, while mid-size minis hit 42 to 48. Weights usually run 5 to 800 pounds, about a third to half the size of a standard Holstein. For comparison, a regular Holstein cow averages 58 inches tall and tips the scale around 1,500 pounds, making it America's largest and most common dairy breed. The vibe is the same. Bold black and white or red and white patches, long dairy frame, and a calm barnyard personality. Minis just bring all that in a smaller, handier body for small acreage. Holsteins are usually born horned, but polled genetics exist, and many breeders dehorn calves early. If you want to skip dehorning, ask for polled stock. With simple care, hay or pasture, minerals, shade, and fly control, a 5 to 800 pound mini Holstein makes a photogenic, friendly pasture pet that still looks like the dairy star everyone knows. Number 6. Lulu. If you're searching for the ultimate tiny mountain pet cow, the Lulu from Nepal is as rare as it gets. These little natives come from the Mustang district, grazing high in the Himalayas between 9,200 and 13,100 feet. Adult cows average only about 34 inches at the shoulder and weigh around 275 pounds. Some documented females are as light as 150 pounds, smaller than plenty of ponies. For a homestead pet, milk yield is modest but useful, about 1.5 liters per day, just under half a gallon. Perfect for tea, yogurt, and ghee. Another perk is that over 90% of Lulu cows tested carry the A2 milk gene, which some people specifically look for. They're built for tough forage, cold winds, and light handling. If you shop for one, confirm verified height and weight, and check the source. True Lulu are tied tightly to Mustang valleys. Number 5. Malnad Gidda. For a rainforest-ready pet cow, the Malnad Gidda is India's homegrown dwarf from the Western Ghats. Officially recognized in 2012, this is a true small breed, not a crossbred mini. Adults average about 35 inches tall at the withers, and typically weigh between 175 and 265 pounds. They're built for the Malnad Hills. Compact frame, small horns, black coat with fawn shading, and a knack for living off rough browse. Families in Karnataka often keep them on minimal inputs, sometimes grazing with almost no extra feed. That thriftiness is exactly why they're loved by homesteaders who want a cow that's practical and pet-sized. Milk yield is steady, if not massive, around 2 to 4 liters a day on simple pasture, with many surveys averaging closer to 1.5 liters. Research shows they consume about 4.5% of their body weight in forage, thanks to their ability to graze a wide variety of hill plants. Give them basic care, grass or hay, minerals, shade, fly control, and you'll have a hardy, compact Indian native that doubles as a sweet family pet. Number 4. Kasaragod Dwarf. If you're after a true mini that still feels like a real cow, the Kasaragod Dwarf from Kerala checks every box. Adult cows average about 35 inches tall at the shoulder and weigh a little over 300 pounds. Bulls are slightly bigger at around 41 inches and about 400 pounds. Coats come in black, brown, or white. Horns are short, about 4 to 5 inches on cows, and the frame is compact but sturdy. Reproduction is practical too. First calving comes at about 3 years, and cows average a calving interval of a little over 15 months. Field studies in Kerala also noted resilience to heat, humidity, and even resistance to foot and mouth disease during outbreaks. For pet owners, their light frame means less trampling and easier handling. But don't forget, they're still cattle, so you'll need secure fencing, minerals, fly control, and clean water. Conservation groups in Kerala have kept the breed alive, even banking frozen semen and tracking growth from birth weights around 24 pounds. Number 3. Wayanad Dwarf. The Wayanad Dwarf is another Kerala native, tied closely to the Kuruma community, and it's built for life on the forest edge. Adults average about 41 inches tall and weigh around 200 pounds, light, compact, and easy to manage. Horns are short, about 5 inches long, sweeping out to the sides, and coats can be black, red, or patched white. For anyone wanting a hardy pasture pet, this breed's toughness is the real draw. Traditional keeping is low input. Herds leave at dawn, graze 6 to 9 miles, and return by evening, with a lead cow carrying a wooden bell. Despite the rugged lifestyle, owners report minimal disease, strong parasite resistance, and no need for fancy housing. Genetics back this up. Studies place Wayanad cattle firmly in a heat-adapted Indicus cluster. Milk yield isn't massive, but it's rich. Families usually get enough for chai, curd, or ghee, with higher solids and butterfat than you'd expect from such small animals. Care is simple. Provide pasture or hay, minerals, shade, clean water, and routine vet checks. Number 2. Mini Highland. Mini Highlands pack all the rugged Highland charm into a smaller frame. They aren't a separate breed. The mini label comes from breeding for height. By 3 years old, a true miniature Highland measures 42 inches or less at the hip. Anything between 42 and 48 inches is classed as mid-size. The famous Longhorns and thick double coat stay the same. That coat has an oily outer layer to shed rain and snow, and a soft undercoat that insulates them in brutal winters. In hot regions, they'll shed down and need shade, water, and good fly control. Space needs don't shrink just because they're minis. The rule of thumb is about 1.5 to 2 acres per cow-calf pair per grazing season, though pasture quality is what really counts. Feeding is simple. Plan on about 2 to 3% of their body weight in forage every single day. One thing to watch, some lines were bred down with Dexter cattle. That brings a risk of lethal dwarfism if both parents carry the BD1 or BD2 gene. Responsible breeders test through UC Davis, so always ask for chondro test results and never pair 2 carriers. The good news? Highlands live long and stay useful. Many cows are productive past 18 years, and reaching 20 isn't unusual at all. Number 1. Vechur. The Vechur cow is so small it almost looks unreal. Native to Kerala, India, it holds the Guinness record as the smallest cattle breed in the world. Adults stand about 35 inches tall, and many cows weigh just 200 to 330 pounds, closer to the size of a big goat than a typical cow. The name comes from the village of Vechur in Kottayam, and the breed nearly vanished until 1989, when Professor Sosama Ipe and her team stepped in to conserve it. What makes Vechur cattle so appealing is their practicality. They thrive in tropical heat, don't need fancy barns, and eat far less than full-size breeds. For milk, they give about 1 to 3 liters a day, roughly 1/4 to 3/4 of a gallon, perfect for families wanting a steady household supply. Their small size also means they're gentle on land and easy to handle. Beyond production, many smallholders love them as pet cattle. Their calm, friendly temperament makes them easy to halter, lead, and enjoy around the yard. They're colorful too, with coats ranging from fawn to black and white, all wrapped in a compact frame. Care is simple: good fencing, minerals, vaccines, and shade during hot months. Thanks for watching. Now check out the videos popping up on screen for more unbelievable stories.